is working with very senior designers. She has a style of her own. She has a success story, and it was a wonderful thing that we have this opportunity with us to be able to listen to what she has done, what has her journey been, and to Professor Asha Baxi, who is, I think, I would like to say that she is the one who has established fashion education in India. I mean, I would go as far as saying that, because when NIFT started, uh, I think she was there to shoulder all responsibility, and today we are all here. How things multiply, and not only multiply to the root of something. So it is like that. So, with having said that, I would like to say that why have we called this session Power from Within? It is also because, we see COVID problems around us, and we see people feeling sad about small things. Let's talk about how that power comes from within and how we can cross the most horrible situations in life. So, what is COVID for us? With that, I would like to invite Asha ma'am to take the lead and to take the discussion forward. We will have the conversation for about 45 minutes, and then we will be happy to take any question and answers. I will keep a record of all the questions if you post them on chat, and depending on time, I will take those questions after 45 minutes. Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. Asha ma'am, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tulika. Thank you very much. And thank you, IICD, for inviting me for this session of Varta. It's an honor. And I look forward to an interesting interaction here with Monica. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much,
Feeling
ma'am.
very happy and proud to welcome you today and having this conversation, with you. And we are glad that we could catch you, to have this little chat and share your experiences, with people around. So, to begin with, where are you right now, Monica?
I want to begin with thanking everyone and Tolika ma'am and IICD for giving me an opportunity to come forward. I am currently living in New York, so I'm speaking from there.
So, you're alone there, or you have your family?
No, I came here 6 years ago. I live here alone. My entire family lives in India still.
So, how have you been coping up with this new situation?
Well, the COVID is happening like globally, and it wasn't easy at all. It was a hard time for a person to live in an apartment in New York City, and everybody knows New York is a place with like city which never sleep and is full of energy and enthusiastic, and you are watching it to go into becoming such a Gotham City where nobody's stepping out, and that the fear of getting infection and everything was became, of course, the terror in everybody's mind. So I have watched city change so much in last 4 months. Everything got shut down. It was hard, but what happened is during such time in your life, we know that this is a global pandemic, right? And it is a dark time indeed, yes. But it is also while I was going through all the phases while living alone and thinking and feeling like, what's going to happen next, and the social life and everything got shut down. But I took it as like, okay, fine, it's an opportunity for me to reshaping myself, rebooting my ideas, and re-ramping the workspace, whatever we have to do. And so having this idea that time never stays the same because of my experience, I knew that this is going to end too. We all know that. It's just like coping it, just keep reminding yourself that this is the time where one has to be reflect on themselves, the plan ahead, because this time will end soon, so that when they come out, they're going to come out in a better version of themselves, and whatever as a climate action we require to take, we have to take that action too. So I've been thinking about that during pandemic. I worked on a lot of different projects. The time which I didn't had before, COVID gave me an opportunity to reflect on those. I've been working from home since ever everything shut down in New York, entire world. So there was no dull moment. Honestly, there were always something. So I never had a break. So living in a city and then finding ways to cope up things and finding your mission in, during this time. That was the whole idea of me to coping up with.
Wow, that's really brilliant that you were able to make such a good use of this time, because here also we find that the lockdown has impacted everybody, and we find students here, particularly although we've been doing online classes and things, but we do find that the students did have a difficult time, because obviously it was something which happened so suddenly and has completely changed, the college life that they look forward to.
Hmm.
Right. So, Monica, you have been a very popular person at NIFT. You were sought after because you were size 8, tall, very sort of beautiful, and all the sort of seniors, looked up to you for because they needed mannequins. You were the live mannequin for them. They needed mannequins to try things on you. So, was fashion something that you wanted to do, or was it serendipity?
It is kind of a serendipity for me. Honestly, before, like as usual, all of us who grew up in India in your 90s and 80s, so we all had this idea that parents always define your career before you finish your 12th, and that was the question used to start haunting me after 12th, what I'm gonna do, right? So I'm always thinking, oh, I cannot become a doctor because I took commerce. Sorry, I'm listening myself. Okay. And then I knew that I wanted to pursue something which was more glamorous to me, honestly. Like, I had no idea there was a professional education institute existed in India back then. I wasn't aware of it. And I was into getting into theaters and acting. I wanted to be an actress at some point. And since, I was always been the tall girl and decent physique. So I tried into modeling world as well. I did some of the catalogs and the shoots and everything. But one day I remember that my brother gave me a book and he's like, there is an institute who is for the professional education for fashion design. I think you should apply that. And it's in Delhi. And I was like, okay. And I did apply. I didn't know that time how the competition work, and then he was a studying engineer, so that this rank come, that's what you get, and that pressure was keep building. So when I was preparing for that, I just knew that I'm gonna do something creative from my end and whatever I feel like. I had no idea that I will get into or not, because I never considered myself that I'm going to be like crack the code, I'm gonna get into the competition and I will get it. It was just merely like, let me try that, because this education is something which was actually my hobby and my interest turning into my professional career. That's what I was looking for. So that's how it started. I applied in NID and NIFT both, and I got into both. I had a good rank in NID, so I had an option to join NID back then as well. But then I got better rank in NIFT, so I was like, it's Delhi. I have to be there, and it's fashion. So I chose NIFT over NID, and then when I got in with the second rank all over India, it was incredibly surprising for me. But it was a good feeling. That
So, how
whole
was
vibe.
how was it like studying there?
Ah,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hmm.
Excuse me, Monica. So there's a
yeah.
request, ma'am, that there's a request that people can't see you. because you're on two devices. So if they put the speaker mode on, they can only see the A, and your visual, we cannot see your photo. Everybody cannot see the photo. So if it is the same device, I think people will be able to see
All
the
right.
photo if they do the speaker view.
All right.
So
Yeah.
that could be done. So meanwhile that is happening, I will just talk about Monica, that she was one of my best students. And I remember if I gave X amount of work, she would come back with X plus 2, X plus 3. You know, if you give her, she had to prove that she's the best student, and she did so much work. I mean, we are all faculty members, we love to teach, but it is up to the students how much they can take from us. So that's what I remember of Monica. She used to do amazing work. Yes,
Thank
over
you
to you, Asha
so
ma'am. Sorry for the disturbance. I hope you will be able to see ma'am now.
Better. So I
yeah.
just wanted to know, you were in your dream college, how did you I mean, what did you find there? Were you happy being there? Did it sort of meet your expectation, and what you were sort of looking for?
I mean, it was a dream, honestly, because like Tulika ma'am just said, I had this competitive thing about me that if I want to do something, I want to be best, good in that, and hard work pays off. That was the ideology my father gave me. So when I got into NIFT, I was so conscious about that. I have to learn more. I have to more because always wanted to be in a place where if anybody asked me a question, I would be able to answer it, because there is no point of learning something which is not complete, and incomplete knowledge and inefficiency in a certain things doesn't make you the stronger which you want to become. And I always inclined to learn more. And like Tulika ma'am says, she gave us like 50 embroidery design, and then I explored, and then I created my 10, 12 version of myself just to explore, like, okay, that can also be done. And throughout this journey, it wasn't just because like I wanted to do more than what my classmates were doing. It's just like I wanted to learn more and more, and that's what kept me going. So NIFT was a place where I found myself, honestly. Like I see, if I were a doctor, I might have not able to do that way in that passionate, although I always wanted to cure people. But NIFT was something I felt like, how you say that your ship has landed. So it was that feeling where you are surrounded with the people who doesn't think ordinarily, whose perspective and angle towards design, life, and observation is totally different. And the course during the foundation, how NIFT has drilled us to see and our perspective towards life, and the subject which you see even lying on the road in a different version, that made you exceptional and made you is like a beginning of you to think extraordinarily. So NIFT was a dream come true. Lot of exposure, definitely, and a lot of things. When people talk about before NIFT, people see fashion how, like movies, musics, and magazines and all those things. And I'm talking about like 90s and early 20s, right? So that time fashion for non-fashion educational people, they just know fashion about that. But then when you get into fashion, you got to see how everybody's passionate, and especially the faculties, because institute is a place where you meet your peers. But when you see the extension version of your passionate professor, like how they're teaching with the passion, so you feel like, oh my god, I want to learn that way, I want to be that one. So I always see, like, if professor knows that much, I want to know that much too. So NIFT was like a box opened for me, which gave me liberty to explore myself, explore my skills, and find out my strengths and weaknesses. And the weaknesses, and they allowed me to work on it. And I personally never got so many redos, honestly, but I've seen students getting a lot of redos. It's just like, because professor used to push us that we believe you can do more, so do more. So I, whenever I feel like, oh, I wish I get redo for this because I know now I have idea I can give you do much better than that. So NIFT was totally the coolest institute in India. I must say that. Like I know people from medical colleges and engineering college in India, but NIFT drill you very well.
I said, wait till you visit the Institute of Craft and Design. You should actually come to Jaipur and visit that place. That's also a very, very interesting place coming up. And the kind of work that is being done there in terms of craft and, craft oriented design really makes it very special too. So it's nice to see, good places coming up and giving options to students, to choose from and, decide their career path. So after you finished with foundation, I remember you went back home for holiday, and then something terrible happened, which really turned your life upside down. All your dreams and whatever. So a little bit about that would sort of help us understand.
Yeah, it was after the foundation, the longest summer vacation you get is was I back that time my dad was posted in UP Lucknow, and so when I was there I think 10 days before prior to college supposed to get open, I was attacked by a bucket full of acid. My 75% of my body was damaged, 65% of my face was damaged. And I know this percentage because that's how doctor has been told and, like measured the whole thing. Uh, as an 18-year-old girl, it was, of course, the biggest trauma one could ever have. And especially, the girl who is so much passionate into the glamour side and the world side, who wanted to, establish in a different way in the fashion industry as well. And then suddenly you are in a position where you forget everything. I was under trauma for months. I stopped recognizing my parents, and I forgot everything because I wasn't sleeping. So there was a point where I was almost getting a brain hemorrhage. I The entire body was all burnt, and I was getting slowly from the trauma center to different one. A lot of doctors said no to cure me because I was very serious case, and they gave final words to my family that if this 10 days, if she could survive, we might have chance to cure her. Otherwise, you might have to say no to it. An entire NIFT, like you said, like I was popular. Yes, I was. And from the senior till my classmate, everybody used to know me because I was very active. It was a wave in entire India that happened. And then suddenly, all the news channels and the newspaper, the headlines were talking abruptly in a wrong sentences and something, but everybody got to know that what happened to Monica and what happened. So everybody started looking up to that. But in that 1 year, while after struggling with the recognizing everyone, I had to have like speech therapy. I had to learn how to talk, walk again, and eat again because I was on a liquid diet. I started walking after 11 months. Well, because the whole 1 year, and after that, I was on wheelchair for like six months or something, and so and somehow the whole thing was like a worse dream. And as a girl, you don't know. I didn't know that that kind of a violence does take place because usually in India we used to be like, as a mother, we used to be told like, don't go on a dark alley, and if it's something like that, the people who don't. I mean, the I used to hear like. Uh, if you don't give a dowry and then the in-laws are bad and something, that kind of an angle. So I never thought that could happen to me. And then the point is, for many years I've been I was asking to, God or the universe, like, what did I do to experience such thing? And I never got the answer, so I stopped asking. But it was a big setback for me because psychologically I was into such a long trauma that it wasn't just only like physical healing for me, but it became such a healing for my mind that I have to accept. And I remember you and I, we used to discuss a lot before then. And, it took me years, honestly, because since I was in a very competitive mindset, I felt like I am behind. I'm behind from the world. And I lost my 1 year. And it's like my life got still and everyone is moving for ahead. So I felt like I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think when the attack, when dad heard from the doctor, I might not get better or might not stay alive. He came to me that time. He asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I was so eager to go back because I was enjoying my NIFT time so much. I was telling my dad without knowing that the degree of seriousness of my attack was. I was like, just get me, fixed so that I will join back NIFT again. Because next year I was ready to get to join fashion design department, the second floor, which I was dreaming throughout my foundation year. So that second floor was my Everest during that time. That I have to be there. I have to be studied among those students, those professors going to teach me because we don't get you guys on foundation time, right? So you were like, I wanted to study under you, from you, and then all this professor I'm only gonna get when I get into the department. Um, so I had a choice. My dad gave me an option that he can feed me forever, and if I want to stay, if I decide to stay home, and then he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I was one of the topper in India. I'm not dying without an education. I have to finish what I started." And that's when he said, "That's my girl, and that's what I wanted to hear." And then he decided whatever the resources he has, how much money he saved in his entire life is gonna go for my treatment. He found best possible plastic surgeon available in India who is willing to take such a risky case. And I know that everybody who believed in me that time, they all said it. If she has to go, she will go. But we want to at least try to save her. And as you can see, the face and the body is after 50 surgeries. So I'm the result of everybody's love, and I believe the my willingness to come back to study and join fashion.
Monica, when we heard about your accident, we were absolutely traumatized and shocked. But it was so reassuring to see you back after a year. Of course, you had a wail, and with lot of dignity and I think grit, you sort of came back. Your enthusiasm to work, your enthusiasm to learn, I think really made us all feel very proud of you, and also gave us the strength, to not sympathize with you or not have pity on you, but actually help you to get out of that whole situation. And I think that's the reason why perhaps everybody was also out to help you. I remember you going for your surgeries every holiday or weekend whenever it had to be, and yet never failing to do your work or do your submissions. I mean, there was never any. I don't remember ever you making an excuse that because of this I couldn't do my work. I mean, that is something so distinct about you. And
Thank
also, I
you.
remember you hanging outside the office, waiting till we were to be able to mentor you, for your. Something.
I mean, I mean, it was a time. Now I look back, it's look so, so weird to me, like how the time passes, you don't realize when you are in the moment, because you always in a position of complaining about what is happening and something like that. So what happened is, like, I came back with the stick because I couldn't walk. I had no energy left, and it was and second floor, so I was waiting for elevator on the ground floor so that I can climb up. And it was taking so long for elevator to come, and I said to my friends, so all my friends, they came to me who I studied foundation with, because everybody was like, Monica is joining back, Monica is joining back. So they came, they held my hand, and they helped me to climb that staircase, and it took me literally 15 to 20 minutes to reach on second floor. And everybody was so nice, and although I had new classmates, they understood, and they kind of already aware that I was, the student prior to them, and they were like, Monica, we are going back to canteen, kuch lana hai kya, hum lekar aa jaye tumhare liye. So they were so nice to ask me that, because I had no energy or stamina in my body for at least 2 years. When I came back to NIFT, I had to finish it. And about this whole thing in life was, when you lost some part of it, there is another part of you gain. And I know one thing, that my brain was working. So I was more about that. As far as I'm working now, I have to learn more. And when even every holy Diwali or long weekends, we prior to book a operation theater in a hospital, because I know that I have to go back and then have to stay on bed like 24 to 48 hours. Then college will open, then I will go back. So managing the assignments on time, I used to finish before getting admitted, or I inform my professor, like, okay, I'm gonna avoid that. And I mean, that shouldn't be something that I'm not able to do it. It might bring little delay in my process, but then I always try to do it prior to that, because I mean, thing happened, right? So I took it, yeah, thing happened, and then I should not let it hold me back, and that's what I did.
You graduated with flying colors. You did very, very well in
Thank you.
at NIFT, and I think you were among the first five. Were you?
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Very well for yourself. So tell us about how once you stepped out of NIFT, because NIFT became pretty comfortable, and it became so very you felt a sense of comfort being there, with people around you and with the system that was there. But once you graduated, the next thing is the placements. And I remember you telling me that your friends would tell you, okay, Monica ko to mil jayega. Monica will be the first one to get the placement, because obviously your portfolio and your performance was excellent. But tell us exactly what happened after that.
I mean, yeah, people said that I will be the first one to get placement, and even I think professor also believed that I'm not gonna facing any issue, but I did. I It's a fashion industry. The real world starts when you step out of NIFT. People and students think that NIFT is the world, and NIFT is the or any institute, for instance, is the only part where they need to struggle. Everything gonna go better, but no. The moment you finish, the real life started. You are in a place where you have to prove yourself. I mean, no matter how rebellious you were as a student, the reality hits when nobody is hiring you. And my reason was, I had maintained the connection with my professors and some seniors as well, but I was, according to the world eyes, even the fashion industry probably now, I was a victim of an acid attack who has a veil. Like, I was wearing a burqa in my life for 9 years, right? You saw me. And even in that, I brought fashion. Like, if I'm wearing blue, then my dupatta has to be blue. So I started coordinating those things, because one has to figure it out the fashion way, right? But and when I went for interviews, they all loved my work, but nobody was hiring me. So my competition wasn't all about like okay the gender equality, like okay लड़का लड़की में कौन hire करेगा, वो नहीं था. uh, but I wasn't giving them uncomfortable feeling. मेरा वेल उनको बहुत प्रॉब्लम करता था. Like they loved my work, but they used to like, oh, we can have you as a freelance, so we are looking for a guy, we are not looking for a girl. And then somehow like that appearance made them uncomfortable more than me, because that's what that's what the society does to you. They tell you if you're pretty, they tell you if you're ugly, they tell you how uncomfortable they are looking at you. So it was very hard. I didn't get. I think I was the last one who got placement, and I think you or Bani ma'am, one of you guys, I forgot, got me my first break into corporate, because when before that I was applying for working under the fashion designers because I wanted to learn again from the best. So I was like, I want to pick these designers, I'm gonna work under them, I'm gonna learn from them, and this is and when nobody was hiring me, and it was time when some places they rejected me, and then I started getting calls from places. When I went there, I had to reject that calls because I wasn't physically okay in that environment, because my physically limitation of allowing me to have certain things as a facility to provide me, like I need a proper workstation or air conditioner so that I can remove my veil without letting anybody see my face and work. Because I used to uh, held my veil under my teeth because I don't want wind to take it away and people can see. So it was hard for me. So if there was no one is providing me that, so I had to say no to those designers that I can't work here. I'm so sorry. So those kind of a thing happened, and then I went joined corporate where I had my own space. So I got into late, but I got into jump pretty good start with them because of the work and portfolio I did and the recommendation I had.
Right, right. When did you remove the veil? I remember 2012 was it? When you removed the veil, you
2012.
had,
Yes.
yes, and we had a
Yeah.
long chat about you're, you wanting to join the Parsons School of Design, and and we were talking about how expensive it is, and most of the financial drain was because of the surgeries that had to be done almost every few months. So although it seemed like a daunting task, but I think you still had your hope, and you still were sure that you're going to somehow make it. And I think that determination perhaps helped you. So it would be nice, interesting for us to hear how did you then manage to get admission in like one of the most prestigious design schools, and actually one of the most expensive ones as well.
Yeah.
What did you do
I mean,
to achieve
uh,
that?
I mean, one thing I want to say that when thing happened to me, obviously for me, having knowledge and giving a knowledge and education more importance than my physical appearance, and finding that any kind of a excuse to myself, that's why I'm not good enough, that's why nobody hiring me. So I had this idea that I'm not going to give anybody opportunity to think about like, oh, I wasn't a good enough or I didn't know that. So having an education was obviously was my priority. And at Parson, it was that during that time, of course, we didn't had any funds. Whatever the fund we had, even the smaller amount of fund, was gone for my surgeries because every penny is spent on my plastic surgery. So I was so eager to step out of the country, finding my voice, restarting and rebooting myself again. I applied to 8 universities, including Parsons, and that unrealistic thing, because it was like I wanted to have that international exposure, and lot of international brands who has an office in India, they weren't hiring people so easily because they didn't have any good education or exposure or something like that. So it was a kick in the butt that like, okay, I need to study more. I need to have more knowledge so that nobody gonna judge me or anything. So Parson is, as you said, it's one of the top college in the world, and it is expensive and no money. And I didn't apply by thinking that I'm gonna go there. I applied because I wanted to see where I stand in an international stretcher, because you have to see that okay, you did good in India. Can you do better in internationally? Because there are bigger fish out there. There are so much competition out there. How can I prove that I can do what it takes to be a good designer or something? So when I applied there, it was like, let me just try it. And I got the letter. That was a moment like a child. I was jumping on my bed. It was like, congratulations, you got it. And I was like, wait, what? What just happened? And my mom didn't realize that I was happy because I got accepted, because it was an affirmation for me to know that yes, whatever I learned, I studied, and my knowledge is good enough to be at that international platform or level. I can do that. I got coverage on a lot of news channel, newspaper. Times of India did cover page over me. I started raising fund because I was looking for support, some of the corporate funding, but nobody was giving us corporate funding. Through NGO, we got to go. We made a video where I explained the experience, and only that video told the world that how much I want to study, how much it is important for me to study. We raised some funds. Indian companies also offered their CSR funding to do the first installment to the college. After raising that fund, I got to United States. So whatever the fund was there for my 2 years of education. It wasn't easy, but uh, I think that time in our world, even all the news came towards in New York as well. So everybody was watching that how acid attack want to study into fashion industry. So that's how I got in, and that's how I found came.
So it must have been a huge experience, studying in Parsons. What difference did you find in the kind of education that you had at NIFT and the pedagogy in Parsons?
I mean, I studied business and fashion marketing at Parsons. So fashion design department, a lot of friends I had, because at Parsons it was more of like everybody sign up for the classes from the different field and different courses, and they get to do that particular classes together. So it was an interesting that angle, because in NIFT what we studied, like, okay, these are the 30, 35, 40 people, students who gonna go throughout your 3 years. Parson, it was totally different. It was like some of the master, some of the PhD, some of the undergraduate are also part of your that particular subject classes. So you get to have that exposure to listen the ideas and work with among different level of minds and brain and perspective coming towards it. So that was an interesting, but I still believe that undergraduate of in fashion design, what I've been taught at NIFT was the best, because I end up helping a lot of undergraduate student at Parsons with the draping, pattern making, illustration, because that's what I learned in NIFT. And some of the classes where I used to apply the tricks what my professor taught me at NIFT, and it wasn't familiar to Parsons professor. They used to come and stand on my table. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I want to do that. And they are like blinking at me and they say, I'm going to take your idea and that's how I'm going to teach next time. So it was such a good feeling that what I know, what I've been taught is such an interesting and amazing way that now the Parsons professor going to apply that. So, and there was, we call it as a name, and I became good friends with my Parsons professor as I was in NIFT. And it was like, wow. So I didn't feel that I missed out anything. Basically, it was a different level of exposure for me to understand different angle. And like I said, I studied business and marketing because I learned how to design from the best, and now I wanted to learn how to market it and start a business as well. So I didn't want to repeat my course. I wanted to learn extra so that I know the whole entrepreneur angle of it. Designing is not just the only thing, that's a backbone of it, but further thing, you need to know how to sell the product and make it a market.
So this, this also highlights the fact that today education has reached a point where we the curriculums are forgetting the basics, the core, and the simplicity of learning, but crowding the curriculums with a lot of subjects, and most of it superfluous, because once the student gets out, they really don't have the grip on the subject. And I think that is where they find it very difficult also to struggle in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think particularly at NIFT and other design institutes, some of the design institutes, we are trying to keep the core strong, so that you are then able to take over, and you're able to work in any situation. Once you know the basics, it becomes easier to
I mean,
learn.
yeah, I second to that thought because students don't realize while studying that how much competitive market outside. I mean, they haven't seen anything yet. They don't know when what they think that they know everything and they have the appropriate knowledge and exposure at one institute. But when they step out, they meet someone, they were like, oh my God, we are nowhere. So I kind of like, my dad told me that the real game starts when you step out of the college, because then you have to prove yourself as well, not just a one institute. Many institute all over the countries come forward for applying for the same job, and if you're not best in that, you're not going to get it. So that should not discourage you. That's why I'm saying that the moment you are into institute, get the maximum out of the institute, get the maximum out of your professors, and people don't know that. So at Parsons, I was also one of the top student at Parsons. I know I sound like a geek, but I wasn't a geek. I just enjoy learning. So I end up graduating as a valedictorian of my course. They gave me an honor to give a speech by after graduating, and I graduated with an honors. And by the time of my graduation course, they gave me flag to hold to represent my course. It was such a interesting experience, and everything because the duration when you are in an institute, if you don't utilize it at your maximum, then you are lose it. Like honestly, if I look back at NIF and I feel like, oh, I should have done it that way. Now I'm seeing it after graduating like 12 years later, right? But I'm still thinking, oh, that moment is not going to come, right? I have made my collection, and whatever the mind that was going that time, it looked brilliant that time, but it's actually not brilliant. So, all your professors, when I used to take my garments to teach you, like I used to go to Tulika ma'am for the textile idea. I was like, ma'am, this is the surface I'm doing. Do you think it's good? And to you, I used to go like, okay, well, what do you think about this silhouette? And you are the one who used to give us a very internationally global perspective. And you always like commercialize it, make it a minimalism. And I was following Alexander McQueen and Galliano and Valentino and those people. When you keep thinking about that, you think that you're gonna be that one, but then eventually you don't become that one. You have to find your own voice in your garment. And by the time of final year, we try to find our garment. And after 12 years, like me, and I still think sometimes, I wish I made my graduation collection in all white because I did great with the pattern making in during that time. So students don't realize that whatever the moment they have in that time during the crafts, they should learn, because eventually if you're not good at your work, you have that mediocrity of learning experience where you are with the million people amongst them, and then that question what professor used to ask us, Why should I give you 10 out of 10 or A plus? That you should question yourself too. That whatever you are doing, is it good enough? Is it the best? So that's how I think a student should learn and think about it. I mean, I miss that. I miss it.
Wow.
So after hours, working in New York, very exciting thought. How and we were also reading that you worked with Ralph Lauren and you worked with Oscar de la Renta. So a bit about it. I
Yeah.
don't know how much are we doing.
So yeah, at Parsons, so the college in these countries are more about, no, we are not relying only on the institute. They are teaching us have the network, build the network, connect with everyone, introduce yourself, learn from everyone. So basically in US, I learned that like I thought it's going to be like NIFT, like how you get the placement every year, you get to meet the company. No, in New York, we don't have that thing. If I have built at that reputation that I could get a recommendation from a professor, then I'm gonna get into internship or a job. So during that Parsons, I and then new to this country, I mingled. I met so many people that you never know where the help comes from. You never know who gonna support you and help you to reach your goal and something. So my idea was my life. It's in my hand. I cannot make institute accountable for if anything didn't happen to me. I have to prove myself, and then it's up to me what I choose to do it. So a lot of these connection, all my friends who were not part of my Parsons group, they sent me for an interview for Oscar de la Renta and at Chanel as well, Ralph Lauren. I went to these places and I did my contract job because initially everybody was like, you get a job into a contract, like minimum time. You work with them. If they continue and if you want to continue and if they like to offer you something, they're gonna offer you for a longer terms. So that's what the whole experience is. And having this initial contract job was very important for me because I didn't know how the work environment or industry works in US, right? I was familiar with India, but I wasn't familiar with here. So anything comes in my life, I took it because everything comes and bring me a lesson to learn from. It might work, it might not work, that's okay. The fear of losing, the fear of falling is no longer existed in my vocabulary. It's like you lose but you learn, right? You fall but you get up again. That's idea that fear of failure is no, it should not be a choice of anyone because they're going to be failures, they're going to learn. But every company taught me something. And Oscar de la Renta, I was appointed for the couture line. So those beautiful gowns you see on the fashion show, I was like, okay, that's the work I have to do in the fit department. And you are touching them, and then every garment cost more like $20,000, $10,000, and the lowest one was like maybe like $2,000. So everything as an Indian, I used to calculate into rupees. I was like, oh my god, लाखों का कपड़ा है, खराब ना कर दूं मैं. That feeling. So that happened with me at Chanel, that happened with me at Oscar de la Renta, and amazing workspace at Ralph Lauren. Very much diverse office because in US there are so many ways to get involved into fashion industry as well. It's not just about your work. You have to prove yourself, and then uh, there's a big competition. But
While all
yeah,
this stuff was happening, there is another feather in your cap. You were invited by the nations to speak. How are
yeah.
we doing with time to?
Ma'am, we have about 10 minutes and two to three
Oh, sorry.
questions. So,
Sorry.
but I think this conversation is
So we
so amazing. And I don't know what to say. My dear Monica, you've taken me back so many years, and I remember the dupatta on your face and all that struggle, and to see you laughing and successful like this, it's amazing. I
Thank
think
you
the
so
last
much.
question that Asha ma'am has, we'll take that up, and then I'll go to other questions that some people have been asking. So I'll go there.
So now, honestly, like a lot of people who are part of this session is, I literally live like two parallel lives. Like I have a philanthropic world industry which I'm part of it. When I got invited at United Nations, they invited me because they were like, okay, she's a strong woman and she knows what is right and string. And then when one speech at a time, I was keep growing my network at UN. I had an opportunity and honor to represent India as well as womankind because I wanted people to see that how Indian women are strong. And when I was invited, I was obviously nervous. I still get nervous whenever I'm giving a total speech because people are actually listening to you. So those work kind of gave me to get an aware about a different side of the world. You know, the world is filled with the women who suffered something, not just only an acid attack like myself, but then so many violences happen. And I remember that like they used to get very motivated when I used to talk to them or give my talk, and I felt like world pushed me toward that direction that I should be the source of motivation and a guiding stick to these girls. That's how I got into UN. I gave my talk and gave my speech, and I started my nonprofit after my dad, my Singh Foundation in 2015. New York-based organization, still working on it. So uh, that whole chapter, it was for me. I decided that I'm gonna bring fashion industry and philanthropy industry together, so I am constantly working on bridging the gap. That every fashion is not just a glamorous side of it. Fashion has a deep meaning and the depth about it, which people has to know. It's not shallow. It is beautiful if you see it, and at least if you see it from my perspective. So through my foundation, I'm combining my both passion together, and hopefully, I will continue to work on that and bring more and more to the light.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Monica. And
Thank
what
you.
you just now said, there was a question around that.
Yeah.
So, one of
Hmm.
the students wants to ask, what is fashion for you? Most people look at fashion only in an aesthetic aspect and fail to look at the functional one. And now, especially during the time of pandemic, fashion is recoursing, getting more functional. So, what are your views regarding that? So, before I go to Monica, I would say, Vidushi, that fashion is functional also. I mean, I can give a long lecture at that, but I would ask Monica to answer the question. Yes, please.
I think fashion is you, how you feel in your own definition. For me, fashion is life, because fashion is not just only about what you wear and how you look. It's about how you feel as well, how you represent yourself as well. Before you speak, before you show your portfolio, how you represent yourself is the definition through clothes, right? So that's a fashion part of it. But for me, fashion is a confidence. Like right now, if wherever I go and I speak, I need to wear something according to the appropriate, that knowledge what I got from the fashion, that I know that कहाँ पे कौन से कपड़े पहनने चाहिए, कहाँ पे किस तरीके से बोलना चाहिए, तो मेरे कपड़े भी बोलते हैं. And if I wear heels, that brings confidence in me because I know this is what makes me above the ground, and I'm gonna feel confident and I'm gonna give a good lecture. So fashion is what I breathe. It's in my DNA. It can never go out of my life. But fashion is more about how I feel that day about me. And in your angle, the
Yeah.
common layman, when you're depressed, you sit in a pajamas because that's the mood you are in. When you're happy, you put on your best silk shirt and that's how you step out. So fashion is your reflection. So fashion is you, how you feel about you.
That
That's
is
what
so
fashion for me.
beautifully said. That's so beautifully said. There's another question where they say, how do you think fashion trends have changed? And can you share that how it has helped to shatter the taboos and prejudices today?
So fashion industry is keep changing. I mean, we are the third largest industry in the world who contribute 2.5 trillion we contributed, and being a part of that industry, I think we are in a great position to change break the barriers. Now, during the pandemic, we know that this is a man-made issue which we are all are suffering right now, but also that the value, the fashion which we've been taught, like ICCD, like you work in the craft and design, you work with the real textile, you know how the textile make and how much effort it goes. So it is a luxury, and that's the fashion it should be. The mass production and this whole production is gonna not gonna be appreciated anymore. The repetition of your clothes is it should be an honor, you know. You should have the timeless pieces, you should enjoy that. And the consciousness and the sustainability of fashion is coming, because if you are wearing something, I would say that mass produced, which are affordable, that doesn't mean that garment is cheap. That means someone else is paying for the price what you are wearing right now.
So
So
true. So true. Yeah.
so basically you need to make sure you should not be feel ashamed to repeat your clothes. There was a time we used to repeat, right? I'm from the childhood जहाँ पे होली दिवाली और बर्थडे में हमें कपड़े मिलते थे. Then now is like you step out, you shop. So you if you are not recognizing the value of construction of the garment, as a fashion student, you see the detail how the garments has been made, and you want to see made from. That is very important. That's how you know. And as a textile student, I think you should have more value about the clothes more than any common man, because you should know how the garments make, how much effort it goes. So fashion is going to be more conscious, is going to be more timeless, and fashion will come out in a very luxury form where you have to endure that garment. You know, you have to love it. So that's
Yeah.
where we are heading for sure.
Beautiful, Monica. I think so many people have commented on your inspiring story. And
Wow.
I can see Bani ma'am saying that this conversation is a tribute to two incredible women of great courage and very, very inspirational. And I'm so happy that on behalf of the Indian Institute of Crafts and Design, on behalf of all our students, staff, and faculty, I am so grateful today to Professor Asha Bakshi and to Monica to spend their time to come here and to talk about it. But before we go, I would request just 1 minute of talk from Asha ma'am and from Monica Singh to talk about what really inspires them. How does that power come from within? To both the women whom I admire so much, one as a mentor and one as a mentee. Can you tell us what is it that inspires you? And then we will wrap it up as it's nearly 7:30.
Okay.
Thanks. Asha ma'am, please.
Thank you, Tulip. Thank you very much. Good, a pleasure to in conversation with both of you. I feel life is a journey than destination. Uh, every, every day of my life is precious. And really helps me to take away the anxiety of performance, anxiety of the destination, because most of the time we either spend on the past, either worrying about the future, and I think if you sort of remain rooted in and understand your own self and believe in yourself, uh, I think it becomes easier to deal with the challenges of life, because I think all of us have different kinds of challenges. Grass always seems to be greener on the other side. It's always good to focus on yourself and always look at the glass half full rather than half empty. And in fact, that half empty becomes an inspiration to fill up, because if it's full, it's only going to overflow. So I think that sort of a thought helps, and that sort of inspires me to be and
That is that is really wonderful, ma'am. I wish I could hug you at this moment. Thank you so much. And
She
Monica,
took all
your
the
last
words.
1 minute where you
Okay.
can tell us what is it that inspires you, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear that. it's an amazing example of what grit can do, what your internal feeling can make you do.
Uh, I feel like being being realistic and authentic self is very powerful to me. Usually people always work on people are more over obsessed, more oversensitive, overthink all the time, and they miss out the opportunity to live in the present because we are always focusing on what we did in the past and what we're gonna happen to have in the future, but people are forgetting about living in the present, and the present is as beautiful as it can be. So my power is what I been a very practical and realistic thing. Things comes to me, the things which matters to me and which I can relate, I accept that and take it forward. That's what I've been doing. And realizing the fact is like when you have a one life, you have a limited time and limited a finite moment in your hand to accomplish something, you know. And if you're not able to do it, then what you have done in your life. So the asking this question that have you done that? Were you right to people? What did you learn something from your failures and the challenges? And if you have learned it, how are you going to implement it? So power is more about, I feel like, knowing what is right and what is wrong. Power is about, like Asha ma'am says, seeing the positivity and niceness in people, because it's very easy to find faults in people. It's very easy to find flaws in life, you know. Nothing is happening, I'm broke and I'm this and that. But then it's okay. Everyone goes in the same boat. So basically, if you realize what you have and you click that one moment when you say, this is it, this is I have to do, that moment is your power moment, and that's what you define yourself, and that's what you should do. You have to realize that every day comes with every new opportunity, and how you utilize your opportunity or how you waste it, it's all up to you. We are very mature level now, so the power is you.
So wonderfully expressed. Really, really, really. I mean, I can't say how grateful I am to both of you for being here today. And I can see that people are so happy, and we've had so many people continuously with us for the last 1 hour. Uh,
Wow.
that is so inspiring for us. And it has been a meaningful 1 hour for everybody, for all of us. And I think it was a sort of reunion of the NIFT people and
For
the
me,
IICD
yes.
people. So we are a huge family now together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I, with deep sense of gratitude and a lot of love, big hugs and thanks to Asha ma'am and to Monica, I think we'll bring the
Thank you.
session to an end now. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much,
much.
guys.
Thank you, Asha ma'am. Thank you, Monica. And
Thank
thanks
you.
to all
And
the attendees for being here.
I mean, they can always connect with me, guys. Is a last thing that I can say. I'm available on Instagram, Monica Singh Official, and I'm on a Facebook as well, Monica Singh. My public page is there. Anyone who wants to connect with me from ISCD or NIFT or anyone, you can always connect. I'm always in touch with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. And special thanks to Asha ma'am for the ideation that we should bring Monica here for a talk. And it'll be so good for everybody. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. With
Okay.
that,
Bye,
I will
guys.
bring the session to an end. Thank you so